and welcome to It's Our House podcast. I'm back. My face is actually on the screen. I'm happy to be back. And yeah, that's true. It's Faz. We've got the heel of Twitter, Mr. Chris Tees. How are you, buddy?
Hello. Yeah, I'm great, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And then we've got Mr. Lawson. Welcome back, my friend.
How we doing, guys? You okay?
Yeah, not bad at all. So before we proceed with our fantastic guest today, we want to give a big shout out to our first ever sponsor, mysterywrestlingshirts.co.uk. Hit them up online or via social media and quote It's Our House 10 for 10% off your order. That's It's Our House and then the number 10 for 10% off your order. So today we have got three-time ICW Women's Champion, the Queen of Knees and the Mother of Chaos, Kasey Owens. Welcome to the show.
Hello, guys. Really happy to be here. Well, yeah, I was going to say, I'm really sorry Leah couldn't be here today. She's busy doing other things.
I'm never going to live this down, am I?
No, you're not. No, you're not. Thank you for coming on.
It's what I always say. It's like if our dad after 30 odd years can't tell the difference, it's really okay.
Don't give him excuses.
Yeah, don't, because he'll come up with that all the time.
I'll take them, yeah.
So,
he doesn't know there's a knee coming to his head anytime soon, does he?
Oh!
Might make an improvement.
Yeah, I deserve it.
Just a wee killing joke.
Last week he fucked up and got the same haircut as me, and this week he's fucked up and made you name the wrong sister.
Jealous.
How you doing, Kasey? You good?
Doing well, doing really well. I'm on furlough at the minute from the day job, so I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's good. So obviously we'll get straight into the questions. We know it's late at night, but really I appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. Could you go into your first memory of wrestling when you were a kid? What was it that made you fall in love with it?
It was, we're sitting watching, I couldn't tell you like what match it was, who it was. I just remember sitting with my brother and my dad and we were watching it and I just got totally sucked into the whole entertainment. Like, these people are superheroes, like what's going on? And that was when I was very, very young. I want to say about 4 or 5 maybe. It's one of those things that stuck in my head, and then it would be me and my brother and Leah and my older sister. We'd all go and get his little action figures and we'd all play. I always remembered I always had British Bulldog. I don't know why. It's just always did. Thank you very much. I'll go play with that. And the next sort of memory I had that really solidified it for me when I started really understanding what was going on and just getting really sucked into the entertainment was Leah's debut with S.A. Rios. That stuck with me, and then I think that's what geared me up to wanting to actually do it.
Yeah. So did you ever, like, as you were going through school and that was your thoughts?
Yeah. Always. I was always more of a tomboy, in that sort of way. I was always like wrestling with the guys, playing football and that sort of thing. Like football is never really my thing, but it was always something more active rather than sitting there gossiping with all the other girls.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do instead.
I think Lita inspired a lot of not different girls, but like tomboys and girls who weren't like gossipy, bitchy girls. I think she inspired a lot of girls to get into sport. Maybe not even just wrestling.
Yeah,
she was just different, and she was tattooed, and she was a badass. Let's be honest. Yeah, she was just
very
badass.
much.
So what was it? How did you actually physically get into wrestling yourself? Obviously, we know what inspired you, but how did you get into it? Were there schools near you, or was it?
Well,
was
it took me a while, really. It was I was going to college, and it was one of my mates said to me, he's like, "I know you like wrestling." I was like, "Well, yeah." And so, do you want to come give it a go? And I was like, right, okay, cool. And it was literally just people that had like minimal training, knew how to bump, and then we all just put on our shows ourselves at, as the Americans would call it, backyarding. So, but I think we were a lot more privileged than some other backyard like sort of wrestling promotions within Northern Ireland, because we hired a boxing ring and we thought, yay, this looks a little bit more legitimate. And that was Bangor Championship Wrestling, and we just basically taught ourselves and we're just screwing about. And then it was through that we met Machine, Bonesaw of Kings of the North, and started training with him in Money Ray, and just went on from there. And within 3 months of training with him, I was on a show with him for wrestling.ie in Derry, Londonderry. being very politically. And sorry to me. And that was the first time I was actually wrestling in front of people like Paul Tracy, Joker Bray, Jordan Devlin, Shawn Maxer, and all that sort of lot. And I tagged with Machine versus Jordan Devlin, who was in like a full Deadpool suit, head to toe covered. God love him, he was melted. With my girl called Rachel Sinclair, who was more of a valet than a wrestler, but she gave it a go and had a bit of a laugh and just went on from there. Did
you go into your training wanting to be like Lita? Were you trying to emulate her, and did you take her style, or? Well,
it was more. I knew I wouldn't be able to do some of the stuff. Like to this day, I've been trying to do a moonsault like Kelly. It's been like 10, 11 years. Like you might want to just. But it was that sort of more risk-taking sort of style, and then it was Leah came into the fold of it, so it was kind of like molded more tag team way, and that what we could do as a tag team rather than more singles, and then onwards to that. So it's been quite an evolution for Kasey over the last 10 years, just to find out who she is and what she does and what she does well. Yeah. And I think we're getting there now.
So from the
you said oh, go
on. So from the when you were saying about the backyard stuff to obviously then going into official, 3 months, lots of training, what was the difference? Was it a real eye-opener to say what we were doing?
Huge. Because literally with all the guys at like Bangor Championship Wrestling, it was literally like we would be at the leisure centre and we would hire a hall and we would just get all the crash mats out and like the wooden like horse that they use in gymnastics and practice doing swantons and Canadian destroying each other and all like that just for the hell of it. There wasn't really a like, this is your warm up, this is how you bump, this is how you front bump, this is how you flip bump, this is how you put a wrist lock on. It was just be free. Not psychology. And then when we started training with Machine, like Machine handed us, there's your notebooks, there's this, go and research that. And I'm like, okay. And right, and let me see how you bump. Right, wrong. And I was like, oh shit. Well, this is a good thing then.
You said obviously like you when you're younger and that you're with your siblings and that watching wrestling and that as such. I'm assuming you would have been practicing with each other in the living room or something like that. Obviously, we know more than anyone now that we have a twin sister.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. How was it teaming up with her though? Was it easy? Was it something like, because obviously look at the Hardys, for instance, they're obviously real life brothers and they genuinely get on like a house on fire. They just connect so well. Was it the same with you and Leah, or was it more of a, I don't know, how was it?
Leah took a little longer getting into the wrestling side of things than me. It was mainly me and my brother. And there has been many a sofa broken, many a bed broken because of all the power bombs and the rock bottoms and all these different things that we would try and do. And I remember actually my mum and dad would have people around on a Friday night a lot. And I remember suplexing one of my dad's friends when I was like 7 onto their bed, and I'm like, this is amazing, look how strong I am, not realizing that it was all them. I was like, oh, okay. And then when I was doing it, I was like, oh, Lisa let me live a dream. That was all me. But yeah, so it was those are things like hand on heart, like total, like this is the truth here. My older brother Kirk was a huge wrestling fan, still is. He couldn't get into wrestling because he slept 4 discs in his back when he was younger, so he has very, very limited movement and certain things. And we were coming up with moves. He's like, I'm Viper, and I was like, okay. And this was way before like Randy Orton and all that. I was like, what's going on? And then he came up with like that twist and suplex, and he would call that the sidewinder. And I was like, all these different things, and then somebody did the twisty what is it, one of the Iconic, she does it now.
Oh yeah. I think Peyton does it as a finisher.
I'm really bad with names, so bad. She used it and he immediately messaged me the other night and was like, a few weeks ago even, I was like, here, they've done my sidewinder, they must have known. Kirk, it's okay. I'll get there one day and I'll do it for you. So yeah.
Yeah, so moving on then. how did you then get into ICW? Now that obviously it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's on the network, and you know, Lawson introduced me to it, really pulled me in. So how was it getting into ICW?
Well, it's now a lot, I would say a little bit easier, but there is a lot of like a very high standard of what they're looking for there. Whenever I first came over, it was for Fierce Females, their debut show. And I remember standing outside the Solid with Dallas, chatting away to him, and he was asking like how long you've been doing it and who's what, who's like the hot tag and blah 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 blah. And I was like, right, okay, this guy's really fishing here. And basically we were involved in a Vice documentary. I don't know if you've seen it, about wrestling. It was the one with Grado and talking about his rolling sausage and all like that. And we did all that, and we watched it. And it was like, here, wait a minute, that place looks class. Like we want to be there. And it was through all that and doing Fierce Females and speaking to Dallas and Jester and BT Gunn and all like that, and going from there. And I was like, okay. Leah made the move first to Glasgow. And then a year later, basically where one twin goes, the other one very shortly follows. But
like our tweets.
But
it's going to be a theme, by the way. This is going to be a theme. For anyone that hasn't noticed, by the way, Chris, our social media expert, put a photo of Kasey's twin, saying that she's going to be on the show tomorrow, when that's not the case.
So with that, so Leah moved over first, and in that year that she had lived there, I had went off to Japan, and then it was after that I moved over here, and just went on from there. And a lot of people have seen the growth and the opportunities that I've been given thanks to Dallas and a lot of the guys at ICW, through ring crew, sitting ringside at the first Hydro show, the SEC, building the cages and doing all that, to then the following year fighting in the cage and winning the title for a second time. So that's, to me, is a story that a lot of people, I think, resonate with, because they say it's not just sitting there with like that silver spoon in your mouth, it's working. Doesn't matter how, like, I was in the business maybe 6 years, I was in business 6 years at that point, and there's a lot of people who've been in the business 6 years that have done a lot more and gotten a lot more. Mine would just took that wee bit longer to get there, but it's never given up on that. There was many times where I was sitting with BT going, I don't know if like shoulda, like I don't know whether or not to continue, and he was like, just give it time, things don't happen overnight, you just build your status, build your what's the word before,
portfolio,
brand,
sort of
your brand.
Brand.
We were talking to Casanova Valentine last week, and he said there's no right or wrong way to get into wrestling. Everyone's is totally different. There's no set way. This is how it has to be. It's just how it happens, pretty much.
And it's what you do with what you're doing and how you move on from things and grow, and as a performer and that sort of stuff, like, that gets you further. It's like there's no one way, right? This is A, B, and C. This is how you do it. And there's just so many different ways. There's people that will come into this business. For instance, for the prime example, the other day on NXT UK, there was Valkyrie and Leah James. Leah James hasn't been in this business 2 years yet, but there's something about her. There's all different things, and it's just luck of the draw, really. I think luck of the draw and a lot of hard work.
And then you look at like. I was going to say, look at Finn Balor, for instance. I know obviously he has been on for years and years and years, it seems. And it was
15, 16 years he was doing it before you got picked up.
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's totally is. It's just how it happens for you, how it happens.
Yeah, Asuka, she's in hitting her 40s now, and she's been doing it since she was like 18, 19. So it's literally like there's no expiration date on your career as long as you take care of yourself, really.
Yeah.
So, anybody's seen from the last ride.
Well, yeah. What's it like seeing yourself now then on like the WWE network? Like you're on there officially.
It's literally like, it's so surreal because
did you have it before? Did you have it before Did you have it before ICW came on? The network. Did you have the network before ICW came on it?
Yeah.
So I would be.
Yeah. So it's like, this is so weird. And my brother messaged me, he's like, look, there's you. And I was like, no, all the screenshots and stuff. And I was like, yes, I know. I did that 3 years ago, but but it's surreal. Like whenever I debuted like at NXT UK and I'm getting feedback off Shawn Michaels and Matt Bloom and Regal, and like I'm sitting going, so
Must be mad. Go and see, just quickly, see the move from Northern Ireland to Glasgow. I know you went through via Japan, which we'll come to later on, but how was that? Like, really settling, because you're pretty much settled in Glasgow now.
oh yeah,
Great country, by the way. Great country, fantastic country.
It is brilliant. Like I've been told by like Kaylee and Viper and everybody, and like you're now Glaswegian. You're and there's been a lot like, don't worry about tagging Leah and stuff when it should be me. I've had people tag us with the saltire instead of the Northern Irish flag, or billing us from Scotland, but not Belfast. And I'm like, it's like, okay, like I've got a weird accent going on. Okay, I get that, but I'm from
without being too political, Belfast and Glasgow are quite similar. Let's be honest.
This all makes me feel a lot better. A lot better.
No, you're still an arsehole with a stupid haircut.
just that little proofread.
I used to be a lead editor, which says a lot about my former employers, doesn't it?
Well, let's not go there, Chris. Let's not.
We won't get into that. That's for another episode.
Yeah.
So obviously you're saying that you went to, again we'll go to Japan in a second or so, but you went from more of a tag team with your sister to more of a singles competitor. Was that a hard change to go into? Obviously now you're really the sole focus of the match.
I think like Leah and I think we could have done a lot more as the Owens twins, but I think at the time it really ran its course, and that we needed to go apart to figure out who we were as individuals, because I don't know if any of you have noticed any promos way back when it was the Owens twins. It was Leah doing the talking and not me, because I hate talking. I hate cutting a promo, and it wasn't until like the last.
You're doing well so far, by the way.
Yeah, so you can't tell.
I'm not promoting things.
Well, you're promoting us. You're promoting us.
I'm not but like, it's not Kasey talking to you. It's Kelly.
Okay.
Right.
Or Leah. But it took that to make me come out of my shell with regards to doing promos like backstage or in ring, and I've got Molly Spartan to thank for that, because there'll be times that I was ranting and she would just casually bring the camera in front of my face, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, just showing you how easy it is that you could cut a promo. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I watched a promo that I did with Wee Man in the ring whenever we parted ways. And I'm like, why are my shoulders up here? Like, why am I standing like this?
So
like, relax. Bring these down.
Really random, but did any of you see that Louis Theroux documentary years ago at WCW Power Plant?
Yeah.
And he cut that promo.
Yeah.
And he cut that promo, and it was so bad.
You'll never be that bad, Kasey. You'll never be that
bad. You've not seen some of the ones I've done backstage. ones I've never seen them again. Although that's the thing though, I am getting better at, like, I aim for just doing it in one take, and if I don't, then I'm like, come back to me in like half an hour, because I can't do it.
So we mentioned it a couple of times, so let's finally actually talk about Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Very different from wrestling in Northern Ireland, from wrestling in Glasgow. What was it like making that adjustment, and did you notice a big difference in the style of wrestling over there? Because obviously it was back in 2013 that you went over to wrestle for Ice Ribbon.
Yeah.
And you were there for sort of a few months over that summer, weren't you? Yeah. Obviously, outside of the cultural differences, was there much of a difference in their style of wrestling? Because they're not really so focused on maybe the promo and the story side of things. We know New Japan, for example, all being about amazing wrestling. So what was it like for you getting into that and adapting to that?
Well, I think Ice Ribbon is a good like taster into Japanese style wrestling, because it is a lot of younger girls trying to make their way in wrestling as well. Like you had like Shida and you had Fujimoto and Miyako and all like that, but you had younger girls at the time. Squishy, she just turned 16 whenever I was there. There's a lot of young girls who were like 13, 14, 15, so it wasn't really that much like what you would see in like Stardom, but it was a good like taster into their training regimes and how they get the younger girls into it and how they go about planning matches. Because I remember the first match that I had, it was me and was it Haley Hatreds, and there was Sarah, Risa and Shida, a tag match, and they were like, right, okay, so it'll be you and you, and then it'll be you and you, and then it'll be you and you, and it was like everybody's got their bit, and this is how this is going to flow. And I was like, oh right, okay, so it is very much like you've got rather than telling a story as such. Like a lot of stuff is very much with them. If you're a little bit more experienced, then they'll go a wee bit harder on you. That wee bit harder. I remember watching one of the girls' retirement matches, and she was in with Squishy. Now remember, Squishy was only 16 at the time, and she has Squishy in the corner, and I'm a second, so I'm sitting watching by the ringside, and I was sitting with names. I sit with one of the girls anyway, ringside, just keeping an eye on things going on, and she had Squishy in the corner, and she just headbutts her like full force, and I'm like, mate, she's 16.
Get arrested for that over here.
It was Hamilco I was sitting with, because I literally looked at Hamilco, and Hamilco went. I was like, I was like, oh my god. So I think because I was a lot taller than a lot of them as well. They have to remember there's like a foot of a difference in height for me and some of these girls. Like I'll link you to some of them the matches. You can see the difference. But even watching those matches back now, there's a huge difference from me then to me now, and it's taken going through that Japanese sort of style of training with ice ribbon and Stardom to then like mold and become a lot better. Like I think if anybody's coming into Japanese wrestling, ice ribbon is like early in their career, like I did, ice ribbon is a good way to go. But if they want to really kickstart, go for Stardom, because they've got very, very insanely high standards, and it's just a great place to work.
When you went to Ice Ribbon, sorry Faz, when you went there, did you go by yourself, or like what was it like being away from home? And
it was the first time, like a lot happened in my life at that point, and I just like said, like, I need to go, I need to get away. If I don't do this now, I'll never do this. And it was actually my dad. He was in was it Afghanistan or Iraq at the time, and he basically said to me, Kelly, go live your life. There's some money to buy a plane ticket, go. And I was like, all right, okay, then I'm doing it, fine. And I basically told work, I'm away for 3 months, bye. And it was through the help of actually Kenny Omega, having a word with Shida, and who was working at Ice Ribbon at the time, and they helped me with getting the visas and that sort of thing to come over, and what dates would be good and that sort of thing. Like actually helped me not just get shows with Ice Ribbon, but they got me shows with JWP, Rena, and a few others as well. So it was really, really, really helpful.
You mentioned a few names.
Sorry, let me ask. Would you go back? Would you go back to Japan once all this is sorted?
Like I really, really want to. I was meant to go back for last year's Grand Prix for Stardom, but the visa never arrived, and I was in bits. Like I was broken, because I was like, I'm meant to be away here, and it was sitting in my day job. Like I should be kicking somebody's head off right now.
I think we all think that in our day job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
You haven't seen our Twitter DMs with each other? Is exactly that.
I was just going to say, like, you mentioned a few names there. Were there many other non-Japanese girls while you were there, or were you sort of like the odd one out?
Just me, until Leah came for the last 3 weeks.
So that must have been not strange, but must have been hard to adapt to. Did you like make any friends with anybody, or did you have language barrier problems? Or
she is a good friend, and a lot of the girls kind of saw there was a point in time, I think 4 weeks in, that I was really struggling with it, and a lot of the girls were right, okay, come on, we'll go out, we'll go somewhere, take you somewhere, and they took me out, like around Disney Sea and took me out for dinner and that sort of thing. Like, look, if you need anything, just message us. Use an app called Line, and it basically translates everything for you. So if there's a lot of the girls that you have to remember, they're all very, very young still, so their English isn't good. My Japanese at the time was very, 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 very basic sort of stuff, like sitting there with my book, like. But once I got over that sort of point, and I relaxed a lot more, and it was a lot easier to get on with everybody and put on great matches and that sort of stuff. So yeah,
that's what I was going to say, because you look at like New Japan, for instance, because that's what we're obviously most familiar with over in Japan. You've had like a lot of English speaking people over there, but like I think it was, am I right in saying mainly Kenny Omega was the only one that really spoke Japanese fluently?
Yeah.
So like you've kind of answered it yourself, but see, when you were doing the promos like over there, was it okay to do it in English, or was it more challenging?
I remember the first promo that I did after, because they would get together like at the end of the show, everybody would come back out, sit in the ring and talk about their matches and how they're feeling and that sort of thing. And this was in front of the crowd that were there, and I remember taking the microphone, and the first thing I said was "Ohayou gozaimasu," and it's basically "hello." And they all went, "Oh!" Didn't expect somebody who had just debuted to come out with Japanese so fast, and that's because I was like, I'm not going over here not knowing a thing. Like, something that was like I said, it was basically hello, goodbye, like when you're eating, like you would say "itadakimasu" before you eat. Basically, thank you for the food and that sort of thing, or like when you're selling your merchandise, and that they would tell you what to say. And I remember like my last match that I had, the gauntlet match, and they says, right now you have to say like the closing thing, because everybody would get in the ring, hold hands, big cheer, and you would say the big finale goodbye. And I was like, what? It's like, okay, let's do this. But I think there were some times when I was talking to them and I would throw something in, and they'd be like, oh, she's learning, like she's not just here taking it as a holiday, she's actually trying to do this. And I think they appreciate that a lot, because the Japanese culture is they're very considerate to everybody else, and they'll try and help you as best they can. And I think that's what really helps when they realized I was struggling that wee bit. And
you're saying that you're looking at going back over. Have you continued to learn Japanese, or is it something that you've just kind of?
Yeah, there's an
I'm not going to ask you to do anything Japanese, don't worry. I'm not going to put you on the spot. It was just a genuine question.
No, I'll say what I said to Emi Sakura when it was her anniversary in pro wrestling. So, Purezu Sakura-san, Niju go shuen, omedetou gozaimasu, anata wa subarashi desu.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I agree.
Basically,
He's got lovely hair.
It's so kind.
So it basically says, congratulations, Emi Sakura, on your 25 years of wrestling. You are amazing. Basically, that's what there's all different things, that little sayings that I've been trying to learn, and I've downloaded an app on my phone and sit and write everything down, and you should see all the I look at it now like, what did that mean again? Let me just go back to because that's what I was doing over lockdown. I was trying to learn as much as I could, and then I'm back at work and I'm just non-stop at work. So I'm like, I need my downtime. Give me my time.
Need my Japanese time.
Like, give me my Japanese time. So whenever I go back, I can go, Ohayou gozaimasu.
So you've came back from Japan, all right? And we're kind of going to fast forward a few years, but Drew McIntyre coming back to ICW. I mean, anyone in the UK doesn't know what happened then, doesn't really know wrestling, in my opinion. No. But we're looking at the progression of ICW. Now, I've obviously followed it for many, many years, and from when it was previously to when it first kind of started to where it is now is like night and day. I don't think anyone really anticipated the height of it so much. You've wrestled, let's be honest, you've wrestled some fantastic people. Viper, Kaylee Ree, Moth, you could go on and on. How has it been for you to progress from, obviously you've adapted yourself and you've improved dramatically as well. How has it been for you to be from the start of ICW to today? If that makes sense. So obviously you're on the network and you've had the Drew McIntyre. Yeah.
Night and day. From coming in as the Owens twins on like Spaceballs and that sort of thing, and then getting that opportunity to showcase myself as a singles wrestler after Leah left, then put that fire under me, because I'm like, I'm not using this as a crutch. I'm not using Leah to forward anything anymore. It is up to me. I need to show them how good I am and how good I can be. And if it wasn't for the likes of Kaylee and Viper and Session Moth and like all the girls really pushing me, then like I don't know where I'd be. Like a lot of like even training with BT and Stevie as well. Like when you immerse yourself and you work with such amazing people on such a regular basis, like my psychology for matches has totally changed, and that's because he's got an amazing mind for wrestling, like unreal. He can tell you matches that he had like 10, 12 years ago, like that, like it's just happened. Like you just need to watch it and go, oh, I remember that. It's like you'll go, yeah, da, da, da. But when you immerse yourself in that culture, and there's no way to go but up, and there's no way to go but get better.
Did the whole background change? The whole like production and everyone, did they all step their game up as well?
Oh, huge. Like with the introduction of Duncan and Triple G, like helping with that sort of side of things, and you've got Adam Carell, who's just a workhorse. Like God love that man. Like he would be sitting like during the tours, after like the show was done, editing on the bus so it could go up live the next day. Like he would spend all night, all day, and you have to remember that these guys, they don't just show up 10 minutes before doors and go, right, okay, let's just start recording. They're there from the get-go. Like whenever we're setting up at the SECC, like our day started at like 6 a.m. I was still putting the ring up whenever the crowd were coming in. Issue with the key. But I remember just going, someone pass me fucking board. We need this up. The show will go up. But like even with me getting the ring up, like you got all the guys doing all the camera work, the lighting, the production backstage, like right, getting all the promos and all set up backstage and everything like as well. So like their day, like they're just like well done. Like I can't say anything more, but they're just an amazing team behind the scenes. They're just unreal.
And for you, for instance, to be, I mean, again with what Cass last week, he was saying that to get any match, doesn't matter if it's 10 people in front of you, you're going to have massive balls to get in that ring to do it. But from going from like the Barrowlands to the Hydro, where you've got on the card Rob Van Dam and Rey Mysterio, you know, what's that like? Because that's probably one of your pinnacle nights, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. I remember like literally standing as my music started, and I was like, right, can't go back now. I'm just sitting going, there's fucking Nash.
That's right. He was in Porto that night, wasn't he?
Yeah, there's Nash sitting there. There's Fergal who trained me, like sitting there. There's like, oh my god, like I can't be shit. And like again,
Kasey, if it's any consolation, you weren't shit that night, so there you go.
I think I did pretty okay.
Yeah. You held your ground.
I did, especially in with those two.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Those two, and then the Kings.
But that night for you and BT, for instance, that was amazing, because obviously you're both standing in the ring with 3 belts technically, because he had the other one as well, didn't he? So who's counting really? Let's be honest. But I'm very saying, because I thought BT was going to be, and that was the night he was the first person it's like the only person to be the ICW World Heavyweight Champion and the Heavyweight Champion. Sorry, before
and the DRG. Yeah, because he had held the championship before, but it wasn't a world championship.
And that was the world one.
And that was his point. Like I'm not a Grand Slam until I win that world championship, and then he did it, and I was like,
he was the first Triple Crown person as well, ICW. Aye. So I've got my facts of ICW.
You got it.
I know. I don't just claim to be an ICW fan.
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, like, I mean, I could talk about ICW all day, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
It's just that, for me, like, obviously, I remember when, I said this to Grado as well, I remember when ICW was doing the Fringe, and it was doing it in Edinburgh, and I'm sure it was called Tramspotting. I want to say it was called Tramspotting. and it was big, but it was never really. It was more of a. I didn't want to say indie because that's been really disrespectful. But like a smaller type wrestling company. Whereas now it has that feel of, and it's not just because of being on the network. It's not just because of where they are, but they have a feel of this just massive company. And I always say, you look at British wrestling now. Sorry, I'm going on, but I'm going to keep continuing. Look at British wrestling.
We're just going to go.
Guys.
Me and Faz can just go.
We'll get your hair sorted, Chris. On you go. You look at British wrestling now, and I said this last week, I said before, it's never been so big. I don't think it's ever been so big. And you look at the wrestlers that came through, especially NXT UK, they've all came through ICW.
Mm-hmm.
They've been there somewhere. They've been there, or they've kind of. That's where they've kind of developed their skills as ICW. It's such an important company, and it's something that I don't feel. I think in the UK it does. I think in the UK it's got a lot of credit, which it should have. But within worldwide, I think it needs to, and that's why I'm glad it's on the network, so people can actually say, "Oh, there's Wolfgang," or "Oh, there's Finn Balor," or you know what I mean? It just keeps on growing and growing because it is such an important company, and it must be amazing for you to be part of that company.
Yeah, it is. It's like anytime I step through that curtain, I love every single second of it. Like it's the company that made Kasey. Yeah,
because we were talking to Billy as well, and going to a show, and I've been to a show. These two guys haven't yet been to a show. We're going to make that change. But like with Billy, we all know how funny Billy is, and we've seen him. He's just a genuinely funny guy. And Jen as well, she's amazing at what she does. I think she's absolutely like an unsung hero in that.
Oh, definitely.
But it isn't just a show; it's a night out. Do you know what I mean? It's just got part of the atmosphere. Yeah. And it's something you do not see in wrestling. And I know I've diverted, and it's just been me talking the last 5 minutes. I'm not going to apologise for that, by the way.
So Stuart, well, let's see. What is your favourite ICW memory?
well, Kasey, that is a very good question, by the way, and I'm glad you've asked.
That's why we're not booking him. Ever.
I could be genuinely. You're actually genuinely asking me that question. I still think Drew returning back was just
definitely
unbelievable.
Yeah. I watched his episode on the network, and I was literally in tears watching it. I was like, oh,
And another thing as well about that people forget is, as much as Drew was amazing coming back, Jack Jester was equally as good.
Oh, that Jack
feud was so good. Like barbed wire match was great, and it's been seen. But remember the when they're in the bar and they just start scrapping the bar. It's like, this is just mad.
Yeah,
you didn't get that on WWE anymore.
Yeah, I think that's why people love ICW, because it is it's very old school. It is very much like, we will take this outside the ring. It's not just going to be all nice suited promos in a ring. It's literally, we are going to take it to the streets. It's like, I remember watching the first ever Glasgow street fight. And it was Wolfie took Kid Fight and threw him into a bus, and like there were stories of people having to get in the taxis and get driven off because the police were getting called, and what is going on? And I think it's that sort of buzz that people get, that love, it's just manic. Like, this is getting away with that sort of stuff. Like who doesn't want to yell at their boss? Like that's why Stone Cold was so popular, because he was the guy that everybody was like, I could be like him. Yeah, you know.
And it's like, as well, like, we know what's a shoot and what's a promo. We know kind of, we're not stupid, the IWC crowd, not ICW, IWC. Chris, I remember to notice that. But see, when it comes to ICW, there is that kind of, wait, is that you know, you have to double question, is that genuine? Because it's so raw, you know, and it's just, it get like, I'm not gonna, you probably noticed, I'm even excited talking about it so much. But it's a slightly different thing that you don't get elsewhere.
Yeah, it's prime example, Drew's promo when he was saying about his neck. Like, I was there and I didn't realise that this was a work, and I'm standing backstage going, what? I'm a worker. It's like, how dare you?
Quick, Chris, he's drinking. Quick, go.
Oh, quick, go.
Sorry, carry on, guys. I think, to be fair, that's my... Oh, no, I've got another question. It's okay. I'll sit back. I'll see you in a bit, mate. So the rest
Right, so this always feels like a daft question to ask anybody, like asking them how it felt to win the big title. It obviously feels great. No one's going to say, oh, it felt shit becoming world champion. But as a former 3 times ICW Women's Champion, how really did it feel that first time? You know, how long did it take for it to sink in for you to finally have achieved that?
Well, the match was like 42 seconds, so I was still fucking high.
I remember that.
And I just sat in the corner and I was like, holy crap, like that's why it took me so long. Like Shawn is sitting in front of me with the title going, go and take us. I'm like, what happened? Is this what's going on? But yeah, it was a validation of everything that I'd worked for at the time, and that's probably like a cheesy answer, and I couldn't have thanked Kaylee enough for pretty much passing that torch to go and right, this is your time, like see what you can do it. And like Kaylee and I have been wrestling the same, like roughly the same amount of time, and I look up to her as somebody who is the epitome of women's wrestling in the UK.
Phenomenal.
Like
Phenomenal.
she is unreal.
Agreed.
Her psychology, her mindset, her drive, her endless pursuit of perfection in that ring, like is unequaled. Like every, like no matter if it's me going in with her now or me going in with her then, like I'm going to learn something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and she just goes, oh, just me. I'm like, look at you. And it's like, you're Kaylee effing Ray for a reason. And to me, she should be on WrestleMania next year.
Yeah,
yeah. The
Yeah,
promo
that's
before
a
you
big
won
thing.
it as well, ironically, was longer than the actual match, but it was
Yes.
so good. That.
Yep. But that's the fire. Is like a lot of people do tend to use the whole Leah leaving as the thing to get a reaction, and I'm like, are you going to learn it yet? Stop using it, because you're going to get your ass handed to you as a result.
Out of the 3, which one was the most memorable for you?
Out of the
3 titles that you've had, winning them, which was the most memorable?
Hydro in the cage.
Right.
The cage. It had, like, whenever I did, I entered the cage whenever like I made my entrance, and I climbed it and I sat at the top, and I like always remembered like Molly saying to me like half an hour before going out, it's like, right, take your time and just soak it in, like just love every second of it, because it'll be over like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally I hung there upside down and I sat up and was like, right, here we go. And I just climbed and sat at the top of the cage and just looked out at all these people. And all I could hear was Leah in the front row going, that's my sister! And I was like, yeah, there you are. And I was like, right, okay, we've got this.
Can't see you, I can hear you.
And it was literally like, it's ICW and I've made it. And I think the only thing that will rival that is doing the same thing at WWE.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would not.
The only thing that would rival that feeling is walking out in a hydro for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like,
one thing I've always wondered with like a multi-time champion is like you win it the first time, incredible. It's something you've wanted all your life. Probably never thought it was going to happen as a kid. Does it feel less special the next time and the next time and the next time, or is it all still that sort of like euphoria of being on top?
Very much so. It is. It's that euphoria of like, I've made it again. Like, I'm here. That my stock hasn't gone down. I'm not getting worse. I'm only getting better.
Yeah.
And like for any company to see you as like not the leader of the division, but somebody that could lead a division in the absence of people of the caliber of Kaylee Ray and Viper, it's only like, what's the word? Humbling, shall we say? That they believe in you that much. Like, there's been loads of times where my self-confidence has went like I've had none, and they've given me these things like this little kick up the arse here and there, and then they go, right, okay, see what we did there? This is why you're getting that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that you get it because you work for it. Don't doubt yourself. You are one of the best in like throughout the UK. And I remember the first match that I ever had with Lizzie Evo down at TNT. And she's sitting looking at me. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, I'm going to wrestle Kasey. And I'm like, what? It's just me. And she's like, yeah, but your kids have been wanting to wrestle you for ages. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're looking at me the same way I look at Kaylee.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to me, that's weird. So that's how I'm feeling right now, is how Kaylee feels when I talk to her about stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is so strange. But it's that sort of way, like, if you feel somebody of that level, you're going to come up to and meet them. And I think that's what me and Lizzie did that night at TNT as well, when she beat me for the title.
Pulling the curtain back a wee bit.
Who's raging about that?
Pulling the curtain back a wee bit. What's it like walking out knowing that, you know, potentially in 20 minutes, 25 minutes, you're going to hold that title?
I try to take it at the time. I live that time. I can't focus what's going to end up the end of it. My goal is to get through that and put on the best show that I can.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Okay, so going back to the caliber of opponents that you've had. What you said that you've looked up to Kaylee, and rightly so. I think she's an absolutely fantastic talent. What is it you said that you've really taken from them? Like, is it kind of a case where Viper, I'm going to take from that, Kaylee, I'm going to take from that, you know, is it a case of just, I don't know.
Basically soak in everything, because no matter what you do in any match, you'll learn something. Could it be positioning for something like here, or maybe I should have done that there, this would look better here, or like just psychology wise, like, did that make sense? Mm-hmm. And working with people like that, I had a match with Mercedes Martinez down in Pro Wrestling Eve, and she's a legend. Like, she's freaking unreal, so intense, and the way she puts matches together, it was unlike any other way that I've ever put a match together in my life. And it was one of the most enjoyable, most rewarding, most educational matches that I've ever had. And just to wrestle somebody of that caliber is just unreal. Like, her and Tessa, they had that 75-minute match, the longest women's match, or longest wrestling, I don't know which one it was, the longest women's match in history or whatever it was. But to even just do that and to pace themselves the way that they did, and to do everything that they did in that match, it's like, I'm going to learn something from you. And if I don't, there's something wrong with me.
Okay, so go on.
No, I was going to say, because Chris, you're a massive advocate of women's wrestling just now, and I genuinely believe that ICW kind of, I know it's in WWE, especially now, it's massive, but I think ICW, you kind of kick-started it just,
definitely,
you know, way before then, because I think women's wrestling in ICW has always been as popular as it is today in ICW, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely, and that was down to the likes of Carmel and Kaylee. Mm-hmm. They always, every time they went in that ring, they tried to up themselves every single time, and they had, like I've said many times before, they've had people like BT Gunn, Stevie Xavier, Jester, and all pushing them and going, right, this is how you can get this, and this is how you do this, and they can only go up and up and up and up. Mm-hmm. And definitely. I think that's why another reason why I really wanted to get into ICW, because it was a place on the rise, and it was a place to learn from and to be seen. Mm-hmm. So that's a no-brainer for anybody.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're coming up to the last question now. So it's kind of a two-parter, because obviously with everything that's going on around the world, we like to ask how things have been during the pandemic, lockdown and things. What's your mind been going to in terms of preparing yourself for the future, and what are your future goals once things are lifted, or crowds can come back and things like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think everybody will say the same thing. It's probably very surreal. Like most of us, I've got a day job, so be told, I was actually on holiday. I was on 2 weeks holiday at work, and my second week of holiday, the lockdown started. So I was like, all right, okay. Extended holiday. But then it was like when everything came in, it was like, right, no gyms are open, no this open, no shows, no nothing. I was like, hey, I just won the international title off Sammy, and we're meant to have a rematch. I want that rematch. Like, excuse me. And I want my TNT title back as well. Excuse me. But it was just that sort of way where it's like, right, okay, let's see what we can do. And mentally it helped me a lot, because working full time and wrestling full time, it's that sort of way where it's like I never had a break. It was working 5 days a week. I'm a weekends away wrestling, come back, maybe a weekend off, and that sort of thing. And it actually gave me time a to rest my body and actually take care of my body, and B, mentally help me. And I think that'll help a lot of people. It certainly helped him.
Yeah.
After his injury last year, he's been forced to rest.
No choice.
No choice but to rest. And then it was just, right, what do we do from here? Like, what's the plans? Where are we going to go? How are we going to train? What's going to happen? And we adapted and we moved on. And now that when gyms were able to reopen, we were straight there, and probably in the best condition I've ever been as a result, because I'm like, right, I'm taking advantage of this. I'm not back at work yet, so let's go to the gym 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and that sort of thing. And when the gyms had reopened, actually Wolfgang and Kaylee bought themselves a ring to put into Girders, which is Wolfgang's gym.
Oh, nice.
And so we've been working in ring as well to stay on tip top condition for a lot of these tapings for ICW, for the no fan shows. And so it was good that there was something going on there when we're like, right, okay, we're going to try to do these no fan shows, so you've got something to look forward to, train for, and keep your mind busy with that. And then so like in the future, like there's already a lot of bookings that I've got throughout the UK for next year, a few debuts and that sort of thing. So that's I'm really looking forward to a few of them. And of course back to Japan, and like everybody does the same thing, WWE obviously. WWE is cool, but if not, I really want to get back to Stardom. I really want to do like a story with B Priestley or like Mayu Batani, just anything like that is present moment in time after fractured elbow. Like I'm champing at the bit to get back.
I bet you are.
How's it been? I've got another question by the way, so you know, so settle down now.
Down. Kasey's getting off.
How has it been going back to Fight Club with the no fans?
Not as weird as I thought it would be. Like, of course, we love reactions from the crowds. Like, we feed off that. But I think because I want to wrestle, I was just like, mind wrestle, just let's go. And I was just in the zone. I just enjoyed it. But unfortunately, suffered a wee injury during it, because I think I was just too excited. But no, it was great. In some ways, yes, it is strange, but I think with us watching the network and them doing their no fan shows, and how you would pace yourself and how things differ from like shows with crowds and that sort of thing, to me it's no different. You're still there to entertain. It just happens to be that people are in that little camera rather than right in front of you. So it's just, I think I'll give a lot of people a chance to better themselves in ways that they didn't realize.
Yeah.
Like,
you've got to work on yourself more, haven't you? You've got to do more.
You'll be able to listen, you'll be able to realise, oh, maybe that didn't work as well that I thought it would. Maybe try something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final question. And I want to see if you know who this is from Kasey, right? So the question I got sent in was, what lesson did you learn when you decided to swing a baseball bat at a ring post?
that we guess, is that from Alan?
Yes. How did you know? Alan Russell has sent me this question, and I have got the other two boys to make sure they've seen what happens here.
Yeah, don't do that. That stung so bad.
It sounded, by the way, really bad.
Right up my arms. I was like, oh, you know when you see it and people do that, like the concerto when they do the hat, it's like, no, that was legit so sore.
I believe it was a baseball bat was custom made for you, is that right?
Yep. the podcast have done me two bats. They've done the wooden one that I initially had that had the Kasey down the front of it, and then they've got me a steel one now. So maybe the steel one would be better next time. But fun fact though, at Fear and Loathing last year when it was it Fear and Loathing? I was like, was it last year? When was this? When it was Sammy Callahan and BT Gunn. The bats that they brought out, it was my bat. Sammy was like, have you got a baseball bat? I was like, I'm fine.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, so I was like, because when you brought it out, obviously it's taped up, but Alan's like, that's that wait, what? Sammy Callahan, you not seen what he did? No, it's fine.
Right, ask me our questions now, guys. Thanks very much.
You're done, yeah?
Oh,
yeah.
you're done. Finally, yeah. Great.
Chris, have you got anything before we say goodbye?
No, I'm all good. I think Stuart's asked everything that I could possibly have asked.
No,
I'm good.
I'm not even starting.
He's not even started. That's the problem. Right, Kasey, is there anything you want to push social media wise?
This is where I always get mixed up because I can never remember my Twitter handle over my Instagram handle. One of them is
Leo, is it?
Kasey Owens 11 and the other one's Kasey Owens 5. Pick one, find it, have fun. I've also got a Patreon. I've got merch sales on there on my Patreon. I also do commentary on past matches. I take suggestions from people about what matches they would like me to comment on or give my opinions on, whether they're good, bad, and different. Several different tiers on there. There's an Access All Areas tier where basically there's all different tiers where you can only get some sort of content, whereas other ones you'll get all the content and that sort of thing. So there's like early release merch, there's, like I said, behind the scenes shoots for photo shoots and stuff like that, and then there's the commentary and matches and gym training videos and stuff like that. So if anybody wants to, hi.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll make sure we plug it and we'll mention it.
Yeah.
Absolutely no problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending your Saturday with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Not a problem
Thank you
at
for
all.
answering my
We'll go in
questions.
and try and convince him to actually do this because
Yes.
like I know I said I don't really like to talk, but once I get going, you can't shut me up. He hates to talk.
Oh, well, there we go. So it'll be a 20-minute pod, but we might get the most views. So it's all good.
Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'll be honest. I'm doing it. He's ICW. It's
Yeah,
okay. I'll just run it. It's okay. I've got that many questions for BT.
There you go. The thing is, if you get BT fun, then it's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a lovely evening. You take care.
Thanks, Leah.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Well, that was great, wasn't it, guys?
I enjoyed that.
Fun.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? Hey,
it's Stuart's house.
Don't even care.
I'm
It's
telling you.
Lawson's house.
I'm not even sorry.
Next time, stay in the trains, all right? Stay on the trains.
I've got back especially for this, by the way.
Well, it's been a big week in wrestling. I just thought, obviously, we'd mention that AEW with Sting. Hell of an introduction to the world. I know.
I enjoyed it. I
know our Twitter devil Dees isn't a big fan of him. Wrestling being there's one story, wrestling is a completely different story.
Right. let me take over like Stuart's just done for the last hour. I love Sting. I was a big fan of Sting, everything they did before. He was treated pretty shit by WWE, let's be honest. He was wasted. He lost basically everything he did, every match. You know,
he's got a better record than AEW.
Yeah. To be fair, he does. But you know, it all depends on what capacity he's going to be used in. If he's used as a manager or as an authority figure or something like that. We've seen him do that in TNA, and it worked a fucking charm. Yeah. You know, he's great backstage. He's so funny. He probably knows the business better than most people. You know, he's forgotten more than most people know.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, but the fact that he's got a win-loss record does make me feel a little bit uneasy. He's a 61-year-old man. His neck's fucked. You know, he's
still in better condition than Chris Jericho. I'll tell you that. Fucking free.
Yeah. Looks in better condition than Undertaker, and he's only just finished.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so
Hi, I'm
Yeah,
the
it just-
AEW guy here now, looks like, because I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I even said that. I enjoyed it. It is the wrestling side I'm not a huge fan of. I don't think he needs
I'll tell you one thing, though. I'll tell you one thing, and I've never been as keen to watch Impact as I've ever been now. And I don't know if it's going to be good for Impact. I don't know if it's going to be good for AEW. I genuinely think it's going to work.
You just want to watch it. You just want to watch it.
Yeah, it's going to work for Impact because it's going to get a lot more eyes on it, which it rightly should have. And like the Good Brothers against the Young Bucks, that's going to be awesome. You know, that's potential what could happen, stuff like that.
It is, but I think my overriding concern is this being done just for some dream matches for the elite, because you know there's all of the.
I think for me,
you say so what, but for me it comes at the detriment of the rest of the roster, like Darby Allin and all this amazing mid card, like Christopher Daniels and Scorpio Sky and all these guys on the mid card, Lance Archer, all these guys in AEW's mid card, and then look at Impact's mid card, which is arguably even better, like the X Division, everything going on there, and Chris Bay and all those guys. I just worry.
It'll do one thing to the women's division, because I think Impact's women's division is amazing right now.
Yeah,
and AEW's is.
Yeah, but
the thing is, though, they can't go from Impact to AEW. That's the problem. It lifts Impact, yes, but then are they just going to gut Impact's roster? I mean, one of the things, obviously, if New Japan was open now, this wouldn't happen. Impact would not be there. Impact would not be with AEW, because
I will be happy if
New Japan.
Somebody from AEW's women's division goes to Impact and wrestles their women to get them, you know, a bit of a bigger platform, you know, a bigger name to wrestle against. But if it's the other way around,
Brett Barker against Jordan Grace would be amazing.
I just don't need to see Deonna Purrazzo, who I love so much. I don't need to go and see her wrestle Thunder Rosa, two women who aren't from AEW, fighting on AEW Dynamite, not for the AEW women's title, because that's somewhere off in the background. You know, it's just, they've got to handle it very carefully. There are a lot of great matches. There's a lot of potential. I think I'm also not 100% okay with Kenny Omega's first appearance as AEW champion being on a different show, you know, being on a different promotion. It's not even going to be on Dynamite. That just seems a bit weird to me. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a prick.
You're weird.
I did put this out earlier on today on Twitter. I did say that 2020 has been a shit year for most, but for Impact, they've had The Rock, and now they're going to have Kenny Omega with the AEW title on the show. Impact have had a good year.
Impact has been the best show of the year in my eyes. You already know that.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, at the moment, we've got our It's Our House 2020 awards that we're putting on our Twitter page. We've put out a few categories already. I think best male, best female, tag team, feud of the year.
Feud went out today, best feud today.
And we've got a lot more.
The North, by the way, the North is the answer.
But yeah, we've got a lot more.
FTR.
A lot more coming. He's an AEW man now.
It's going to be an interesting episode, that, isn't it?
Next week, I'm wearing my AEW Jericho shirt. Fuck you both, by the way.
Yeah, so that's going to be our December 20th show. So it should come out on the 21st. But again, go to our Twitter page and have a look at all that. So, guys, do you want to push our social media and your own? Do you want to, Chris? Do you want to
I'm also going to introduce, sort of like, hype up who we've got next week as well. Danny Limelight. Danny Limelight of AEW and NJPW fame. Maybe not, you know, a household name, but certainly on the up and up. Supremely talented guy doing the rounds at the minute. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to speaking to Danny next week.
Yeah, definitely.
And in terms of socials, I'm at PWCDs. Not a lot of people want to be going there at the minute, but that's fine. And then our
I'm not following them.
Our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Facebook are all at It's Our House Pod.
Yep.
Instagram's.
No, it's podcast. But if you type in "It's Our House Pod," you're gonna find it. So fuck off.
Fair point.
Yeah.
AEW, bitch. For me, if you like AEW, if you like WWE, I didn't even start with that shit. AEW. If you like AEW, if you like WWE, if you like anything, if you like an impartial way of looking at things, then follow me, and that is S Lawson 1417 S Lawson 1417, where you will not get be called a bitch.
Yeah, well, we'll see how long.
Fair enough.
We'll see how long it
Fair
takes.
enough.
Yeah, and you've got myself, Fazza's Thoughts, that's FAZZAS Thoughts. And of course, as we started the show, we'll end. Big shout out to our first ever sponsor, mysterywrestlingshirts.co.uk. Hit them up online or via social media and quote It's Our House 10. That's It's Our House and the number 10 for 10% off your order.
A Fazza special.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
This is where I got this from. Where I got this from. Stu may not like it, but it's where I got this from.
Yeah. I've got a Keith Lee one.
Yeah.
Keith Lee.
Just to clarify, by the way, it's not the wrestling place that I didn't like. It's the fact that it's very, very Celtic. That's what I didn't like about it.
Yeah, you love Eddie Edwards.
Yeah. Genuinely love it. It's just
sorry, Eddie.
Cutting that out. We love you, Eddie. We love you. We'll see you soon. See you soon, buddy.
Bye.
So, is anything you guys want to say? End off with, or are we all good?
No, man, that was a great episode. Lots of fun. We just every week. We just they've all been great. You know, we've only been doing it for like.
That's what I want to say.
It's been a blast.
I want to say massive thank you to all our followers on all platforms. We're over 5,000 on Instagram. I think we're just over 100 now on Facebook. We're near 600 and 700 on Twitter.
700,
and we're in the 180s on YouTube. We're getting, massive views on our videos. So thank you so much. Remember to share, like, subscribe, download us. We're also on all podcast platforms. Google, Apple, Spotify, the lot. You can find it all on our link tree, which is in our Twitter, or I think it's in our Instagram. Is that on Instagram?
Yes. It's basically everywhere that you find us,
and on YouTube. So as always, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. One of you dye your hair red or some shit, just for a laugh. Why not?
Green. I'll do my green. Stuart will love that.
And I'll not be on that episode, just so you know.
It's been a pleasure, guys. I love you very much. I'll see you in the next one.
You too, man.
Bye.